Hook 015s. Somebody you know is making $250,000 a year, and they are quietly terrified about money. Not broke, not in crisis, terrified. And the worst part? They can't tell anyone, because who's going to feel sorry for a person making $250,000? Tension, 15 to 60s. Here's what's actually happening out there right now. People are hitting income levels they dreamed about for years. The number they scribbled on a napkin at 25. The salary that was supposed to fix everything. And then they get there, and nothing is fixed. In some cases, things feel worse. There's a real post circulating right now from someone who laid it out plainly. $250,000 a year. And broke. Not literally, but psychologically, emotionally, financially stretched in ways they didn't expect. And then this person said something that stopped a lot of people cold. 4 years ago, at $120,000, they were happier. How does that happen? How do you double your income and lose your sense of financial security at the same time? That's what this is about. Body. Let's start with a concept most people have heard of, but very few people actually understand from the inside. Lifestyle creep. The clinical definition is simple. As your income rises, your spending rises to match it. But that definition makes it sound like a choice, like vanity, like weakness. It's not that simple. Here's what nobody tells you about lifestyle creep. Most of it doesn't feel like luxury. Most of it feels like necessity. When you're making $60,000 a year, you live in a smaller apartment. You drive an older car. You say no to things constantly. That saying no becomes your identity. It's uncomfortable, but it's stable. You know exactly who you are financially. Then you get the raise, the big one. And slowly, almost invisibly, the baseline shifts. You move somewhere nicer because it's finally within reach and you deserve it. You upgrade the car because the old one needed repairs anyway. You start eating at better restaurants because you work hard and you should enjoy your money. Every single one of those decisions feels justified, reasonable, even responsible. And individually, they are. But here's the trap. Every upgrade you make creates a new floor, and floors only go one direction. You can't unsee the nicer apartment once you've lived in it. You can't go back to the old commute once you've experienced the shorter one. The human brain doesn't process loss and gain symmetrically. Psychologists call this loss aversion. Losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. So once your lifestyle expands, every potential contraction feels catastrophic. Even if you're contracting back to something that was perfectly fine 2 years ago. Now here's where it gets really interesting. There's a second force at work that almost nobody talks about. And it's not about spending at all. It's about the people around you. When you're making $60,000, your social circle is making roughly $60,000. You're all in the same boat. You complain about the same things. You celebrate the same small wins. There's a solidarity there. When you cross into a higher income bracket, something subtle but devastating happens. Your social circle shifts. Or your perception of it does. Suddenly you're surrounded by people, whether at work, in your neighborhood, at the private school for your kids, who are making more. And that comparison is relentless. Psychologists have a name for this too. Relative deprivation. The idea that how wealthy you feel has almost nothing to do with your absolute income and almost everything to do with who you're comparing yourself to. A person making $100,000 in a town where everyone makes $40,000 feels rich. A person making $250,000 in a Manhattan law firm where partners make $2 million feels behind. Same dollar amount, completely different psychological experience. But there's a third layer here, and this one is the one that really unsettles people when they hear it. Higher income doesn't just change your spending or your social comparisons. It changes what you feel entitled to experience. This is what researchers call the Hedonic Treadmill. The idea that human beings have a remarkable and terrible ability to adapt to almost anything, good and bad. The new car becomes just your car within weeks. The bigger apartment becomes just home. The raise becomes just your salary. So you need more stimulus to feel the same level of satisfaction. And you're now operating at a level where more stimulus costs significantly more money. Add to this something specific to high earners that gets almost zero attention. The tax bracket shift. The lifestyle expectations from your professional identity. The pressure to appear successful in a role that demands you look the part. These aren't imaginary costs. They're real structural demands placed on people at certain income levels. And here's the cruel irony at the center of all this. The person making $120,000 who reported feeling happier? They had something the $250,000 version of themselves lost. They had slack. Slack in their expectations. Slack in their identity. Slack in what they felt they owed to the version of their life they'd built. Money doesn't just buy things. Money buys a story you have to keep telling. And the more expensive the story, the more anxious you become about losing the plot. Climax. Here is the central insight, and I want you to sit with this for a second. We are not chasing money. We are chasing the feeling we think money will produce. Security, freedom, ease, respect, belonging. But the systems we operate inside, the housing market, the social hierarchies, the professional identity structures, the comparison engines built into every social platform, are designed to keep that feeling just out of reach, no matter how much you earn. This is not an accident. Economies that depend on consumer spending require that you never feel like you have enough. The goalpost moves because it was always supposed to move. The person feeling broke at $250,000 isn't failing at personal finance. They're experiencing exactly what the system was designed to make them experience. The need for more. Ending. So what do you do with this? I'm not going to tell you to make a budget or cut your subscriptions. You've heard that. That's not what this is. What I'm saying is this. The first step to escaping a trap is knowing you're in one. Most people in this situation are walking around feeling ashamed, feeling like they should be grateful, feeling like their anxiety about money is a personal failure when their income is objectively high. It's not a personal failure. It's a psychological and systemic one. And there's a massive difference. The salary number was never going to be the answer. Not because the money doesn't matter, it does, but because the thing you're actually searching for isn't on a pay stub. And somewhere, quietly, you already knew that. The question is what you're going to do with that knowledge now.